Hey champions, it is Wednesday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm so sorry about the live stream last night. It just we just weren't able to present last night. But we'll be back at it again next week. We want to at least get 52 episodes out so that we can say we have had a full year's worth of content. But the reality of it is, because we've missed so many years, we have been doing it for more than a year. We just didn't present every single week. So that's unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's really cool that we've been able to keep that tradition alive. I think we're getting to a point, though, that having a single topic that we discuss throughout the entire live stream is a bit difficult. I'm going to try to come in with a bunch of different questions, so that way if we exhaust one topic, we have another topic to just jump right into. So if you have questions or anything you want to address in an Exploring the Library episode, let me know, and I will make sure to add it to that never-ending list of topics. The next thing I want to talk about, this has actually just been a game design thing that's been on my mind. People have been questioning about it. I'm trying to dig into it. So it's namespace in game design. Why is it that some games, like Flesh and Blood, for example, can have multiple cards with the same name in it, where other games like Magic work the hardest to not do it? In Genesis, for example, we actually have a thing where we're trying to preserve name spacing as much as possible. Part of the reason behind that is my background in computer science. If anyone who knows things about object-oriented programming, you'll know that the way I design cards in Genesis very much based off of some object-oriented principles. So the idea behind it is, like, if your object is something like Gillian Hound, then it has sub-functions like beckon and attack. Each of those sub-functions have then variables or definitions associated to them, like their speed and their cost. And then they have their actual function itself. So these are all things that I look at when it comes to creating a card. So for me, basic attack 3 it's a function. It's basic attack where you pass in a variable, and that variable then redefines what the function does. So that's the way I do it. And in computer science, or when we're writing code, to make it clean and expandable, you want to make sure that you're naming each variable appropriately, and that you want to make sure that the way you name your variables are very explicit. So if someone else comes in and reads your code, they'll be able to understand what your variable is there for. So those are all really interesting and fun functions about computer science. How does this apply into Genesis? I don't know what the future of Genesis holds for us. I don't know everything we'll do with the game, but having a very clean naming convention for the way we go about doing our cards, not having too many cards with the same name, means that we're open up to functions that allow us to do things like name a card mechanic. If you name a card and then your opponent has that card, it does something special. If multiple cards have the same name, then you're penalizing people for having variety in your deck. It's just one of those things that kind of throws me off. However, something I also look at is if we look at animals, right? So I had a dove when I was little, and its name was Peace, right? So it's a bird, its subcategory is dove, and its given name is Peace. When I think about the summons in Genesis, the category we go at is that subcategory, right? So if we show the category and we show the subcategory. So something like Hunting Hound, its category is Hound, its subcategory is Hunting Hound. Its name isn't Hunting Hound, its given name isn't Hunting Hound. Its given name could be Jeff, for all we know. So having multiple different Hunting Hounds, and each one could be a little bit different, right? Not all doves are the exact same. There's a lot of commonalities to them, but you can train your pets to do something different than animals in the wild. You can have some that are faster. You can have some that are stronger. You can have some that can do particular tricks, but these will all fall into the same category. So since we don't use given names on cards, except for Sky was an example, or a special case, which I wouldn't go back and doing. The only time we use given names are on champions. So since we don't use given names on summons, and we're using subcategories to define their names, something like Lightless from yesterday, Lightless Tipicina. Its category is Beast. Its subcategory is Lightless Tipicina. If that's the case, then we can have multiple different Lightless with different stats and different abilities. So on one end, flavor-wise, it makes sense to have multiple cards with the same name, but that are slightly different. Different chi, different sizes. But then on the other hand, it also makes sense to not do that because it limits your design space. So I don't think there is a right or wrong answer to either of this. And I don't know what is the right path for us. In the future, we might do something different. If we look at Pokemon's a great example of this. If we look at Pokemon and you have multiple different Pikachus, each one can have a different set of stats, different abilities, different stats, different abilities, different sizes, and all those would be different things that we show on the cards in Genesis. So all that being said, it's an interesting topic. I don't know where we'll go in the future when it comes down to it. But how do you feel? Would you like to see cards with two cards with the same name, different artwork, and different function? Is that something you're comfortable with? Or would you want those to have different names as well, to have a different space? So it's an interesting topic. I don't know what's the right approach. I'd love to hear from you. All right, let's jump into our spotlight card. So our spotlight card of the day is Purifying Wave. This HE spell, cast, action, 20 aura, kill all summons, destroy all alterations. This card has been around for quite a while. Let's look at the artwork on its own. This artwork being done by Damian. It's awesome. It's very epic. One thing that I love about this is you can see the Primordial Force in the bottom left corner and the Angel of Retribution in the top right corner. A lot of people don't know that these two summons are in here to show the powerful and devastating blast that is Purifying Wave. It's been around since Alpha and Beta. Its original artwork had this hero in the center, and if you look into the background there, Primordial Force and Angel of Retribution are in this artwork as well. And in the foreground, you have two Death Eaters. So this idea of having the other cards canonically in the artwork for Purifying Wave, it was always part of the plan. It isn't something new for the Welcome to JLR version. It was there in the Alpha and Beta version. I love this artwork. This was actually, this attire on this monk type of character, you saw it in Pressure Point as well. This was originally supposed to be some of the concept behind Ajna as a city. So this hero wasn't this was the prototype for Long. It wasn't Long himself, but it was, as we were exploring how would Long look like, this was one of the ideas that was proposed. I really liked it. And this artwork stayed for Purifying Wave into Alpha and Beta. And then once we got to Welcome to JLR, we wanted to do something that was part of canon. And we changed that artwork to resemble that, going into the artwork that we see now, which has the new Primordial Force and the new Angel of Retribution on it. So how is this card? We've talked about it a lot. It is a staple classic HE card. This will need to be there if you're playing Ajna. If you don't have it in your main deck, put it into your forethoughts. Get ready for it, because if you're facing against Angels, you're facing against Necroliches, you're facing against even the Blitz decks, this can definitely help you swing the game and give you a little bit of breathing space where you normally wouldn't have it. So don't neglect this card. I think it's powerful all around. Will it be around for? Will we see competitive play with it forever? I think so. I don't think this card's gonna ever disappear. As long as we're in JLara, I think people will find a place to play this card. But as new champions come out, how many get played, that may vary, especially since we talked about this in not this week, but last week's Exploring the Library about going second. Purifying Wave's a very solid card if you are going second for the round. If you know that you're going to be going second, then having this in your timeline is very powerful, because it forces your opponent to play their summons, exert, and then you get to respond by wiping out the arena. Sometimes it's very powerful if you're going first, because especially if the arena is already set up and there's a bunch of summons and you can't deal with them, then one of your advantage here is taking a step back, getting outside of everything's awareness, and then just dropping Purifying Wave and destroying everything. But if you're going second, it's also a very powerful card. So wherever your stance is, I think it's very valuable. And at 20 aura, It is a bit on the pricey end. We talked about the 10% rule. There's no champion who starts off with 200 ore, so you can't spam this card in a given deck. But I do see this as a card that running 2 to 4 of, depending on how afraid you are of the summoners, it's going to give you advantages. All right, so that's everything I have to say about Purifying Wave. If you got copies, hold on to them. If you have that foil, it looks gorgeous. Use it. Actually, use it in gameplay. And the epic looks really, really nice too. So however you cut it up, this card is awesome. Hopefully you got some signed copies of it back when we were doing the spoilers for 2nd edition. And some of the content creators signed theirs and send them out. So hopefully you got some signed copies. If not, c'est la vie. You can reach out to some of those content creators and they may still have some. So that would be really cool. All right, that's it for today. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.